only 15, 13 games, or no, 35, 25 games left in baseball, 25 games left in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the standings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams in the American League are sitting with a 90% plus chance of making the playoffs. The 8th team is Toronto at 79. But what's weird about this, Hunter? I know we've only got 25 games left, but the Blue Jays are only 2.5 games in front of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And Blue Jays' playoff chances is 79%, and Baltimore's is 2%. Like the drop off is so dramatic, and they're only a game behind them. Like say Detroit is a half a game behind Toronto, and their playoff percentage is 20%. Toronto's 80%.
I don't know. Are they taking into consideration who they have opponent wise coming up?
I think that's part of that. It doesn't exactly explain the percentages, but they've got 7 of 8 in the American League. Now over in the National League this weekend, we were looking at hoping teams didn't start going under 500, and 2 teams. And they did. The Rockies lost 2 straight, but the Cardinals won 3 straight, so they switched spots, and then the Phillies won a couple, and then they jumped up over 500. So now, Hunter, we have 3, 4, 5, 7 teams in the National League over 500. Percentage-wise, Dodgers, Padres, Braves, and Cubs, they're in the playoffs. Everyone else right now, it's still a crapshoot. Marlins, Phillies, and Mets, 3 games, 3.5 games between all of them. Cardinals, Brewers, and Reds, 3.5 behind them. Although the Cardinals beat the Reds like 16-2.
I said the Nationals moving off of Rendon might cost them. The 12-21. They don't look good at all. I know they won the World Series last year.
Did they trade him, or was that a free agent?
I think they let him walk. They didn't. I don't think they paid him. He went to the Angels. I mean,
they have 12 wins too. Think about all that. You got Harper, and Philly. He left Washington. Washington lost Rendon and Harper, and
honestly, within a year of each other.
And I tell you what, Hunter, we can talk about all these lineups and everything. We talk Trout as good as he is, and Rendon, and you've got Pujols in that lineup, and Shohei Ohtani in that lineup, and Fletcher, and all these guys. But when you look at theirs, this is me being honest with them, their pitching sucks.
Yeah.
The Angels have scored more runs, 18 more runs, in fact, 1 run a game almost, about half a run, maybe a little bit more games, than the Indians. They've scored more runs than the Indians. They've scored more runs than the Twins. They've scored more runs than the Yankees, the Blue Jays, all of those teams with winning records. They've scored more runs than the Marlins. They've scored more runs than the Cubs. The Cubs are 21-14, got more runs than them, Hunter. Of course, they got more than the Cardinals. Cardinals hadn't played 10 less games than them. Cardinals only 13 runs behind the Brewers, and the Brewers have played 10 more games. But yeah, the pitching isn't there, and you look at one of these win-losses all you want, and almost all of them, they got more runs they scored than they got runs against. Now, that's a simple formula. It's a simple thing to do. You as a Braves fan, you see this.
I mean, I see plus 33, and I know exactly how bad our pitching core really is. So that just tells you how great our offense is.
185.
Ozuna last night had 3 home runs.
They are 4th in runs in the National League.
Yeah. It's tough. I don't see anybody catching the Dodgers in differential because that's stupid. They are almost plus 100. Like, they are head and shoulders above the next closest team.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. The next closest team is the Indians at plus 48. Like, are you kidding me? Plus 48 compared to plus 93. Unless somebody's math is just really bad. Good Lord.
All right. Well, there's our baseball updates. People like, oh, y'all talk about Mike Trout a lot. We didn't bring it up, but we did. I mean, we did on the show.
People that will sit here and say, why do you talk about Mike Trout so much? It's because we're what's preventing, if any of the younger kids are watching, them from being brainwashed into thinking that Mike Trout is the greatest baseball player of all time. Because they're going to sit there at their house and watch ESPN or Fox Sports, with one of the major sports networks. And all they're going to see is Mike Trout, Mike Trout, Mike Trout. And they're not going to look at any other players that came before him or even any other players that are playing in the league right now. Like, who else are we hearing about right now that they might be trying to push forward as a poster boy for the season? I said his name earlier. Tatis Jr. Did you even know anything about the boy last year?
No.
Exactly. And now they're just going to push him forward and keep pushing him as long as he's having success. Do you know who they pushed forward last year, though? And then all of a sudden they took a step back this year? Acuna. They used to push Ronald Acuna. They really did. And then, relevancy biased. Tatis is the new big thing. But they act like, Acuna's still not there. And I know it's just a Braves guy, and obviously I'm a Braves fan, so I'm going to just say that. But even still, I don't hear anything about Cody Bellinger. I don't hear anything about Chris Bryant. I don't hear anything about Yelich. I don't hear anything really about any of the Yankees players right now. I don't hear anything about Judge, Stanton, LeMahieu. I don't even hear much about their pitcher, Garrett Cole, who they just broke the bank for. It's just one of those things where if we don't try and talk about maybe them not in quite the positive look that everybody would want to talk about Mike Trout, then we wouldn't show love to anybody else. And it would just be like, well, Mike Trout, they should just change the MLB logo to Mike Trout. That's seriously.